Hello, thank you for joining us here in our New Life educational series with Dr. Michael Leitman. Hello, Dr. Leitman. Hello, Nitza Mazuz. We want to learn along with you from Rav Leitman how you can build your life, all our relationships between us, how we can take all this to a new place, to a new life, to a better life, a warmer life, more connected life, where we'll get up in the morning with a big smile on our faces and feel that we're happy. We'll feel loved, and we'll know our lives have become good. Our subject today, Rav Leitman, is about relations between people, the main relationship, the natural, emotional, most intimate relationship that we have that influences everything else in our life, and that's our relationship with our spouse. Today, we want to learn how to create a better relationship than we do today. We see people aren't succeeding to create good relationships today. Therefore, we'll be very happy to hear from you how to do it and to take this relationship where it's not just a couple and it's something in our private relations at home with our spouse, but how it can be something that empowers me, that takes my life to a new place and breaks everything up to a new standard. Nitza, take us into the discussion. So we want to talk about the creation of the relationship, not a relationship that exists that we're trying to enhance all the time, but the first stage, the initial stage where two people meet and something happens between them. There's been so many movies and research about that first moment of falling in love. Two people meet, and it's like some magic. Something takes over them, something glues them together. An arrow goes straight into their hearts, and something starts to happen. Around this, there's something we're always searching for. If it happened when we're younger, we have a desire to search for it. And if it disappears from our relationship, it appears to us that the relationship is not right. There's a lot of confusion around this emotion. We want you to arrange this feeling for us. What is this falling in love? And maybe the first question is a personal question. Were you ever in love? Did you ever fall in love? Everyone can say it happened many times. But when it happens lots of times, is it correct or not correct? How many times should it happen? Every spring, a person is renewed. I think that we need to differentiate in our approach, in the relations between people, the levels of the connection. First of all, the inanimate, vegetative animate, we see how it happens. It happens according to their ability to get into a relationship. Let's say in the static, it's between plus and minus, all kinds of materials that connect between them according to electrons around the atom. Between plants, we see that it's either through bees, etc. And it's also according to their ability to get into a relationship, a physical relationship, how much they're sensitive to it, how much they grasp it, the seeds in the air or in the land, however it's transferred. Or it's like it is with fish, through the birds, or into the water. But we see that they both have to be ready. Especially with animals, there's a specific time, and that's where they choose the most suitable partner, according to what they see, what they smell. They taste pee. And then it's clear to them whether they're suitable or not. At the end of the day, the calculation is simple. Can the connection between us bring the best possible thing? The thinking process is simple. It's not confusing, like with us. but rather it's very natural and down to earth. There's no room for mistakes. That's it. It's clear. Whoever's stronger, whoever's fatter, whoever's younger, more respected, according to that, they choose. It's all according to the maximum ability to create the next generation, where each will be interested in doing that with their spouse so that they'll have the best offspring possible. Offspring. They're thinking about continuation. That's how nature manages them. With humans, these things are very confusing. Why? And here's where the problem starts. We can rise above the animal level, and maybe we're going below the animal level because we cannot succeed in our relationships like the living level. They don't make mistakes, the animals. The more we advance, we're making more and more mistakes. So here we need to learn what is this addition over the animal level through which we either go up or go down or fall. And why did nature make it like this? Apparently it's for us to develop properly, for us to learn from it, because it's the most strongest instinct, food and then sex. Without food, I can't live. But if I can live, I'm already immediately looking for a partner. I'm looking for sex. And here, truly, the instinct is very strong, but not directed. If for food, it's clear that I need to eat, and I don't care what. The main thing is to fill myself. I don't even care about habits. But with sex, I'm confused. On the one hand, I want simple sex, like the animals, and if I need it, I don't care about anything. I'm prepared to compromise on anything. I just want to calm down this need that I have, because it's the second strongest desire in my existence. But apart from sex, I want to have some inner connection. And here, precisely because we're confusing one another, here we're actually making mistakes. We don't know how to combine these two things. Because apart from the animal level, according to the animal level, I would look at someone, a woman, who's like me, suits me, from the same village, from the same place, the same education, with the same kitchen, the same values. I would take her and that's it. I wouldn't look at her. By the way, females in the animal level, they're not beautiful. The men are actually pretty. It's not a matter of beauty. And when we look whether they're pretty or not, how they look to one another, we have no idea. It's clear that it's not a matter of externalness at all. It's a matter of health, bodily health. And truly in the past, they would choose a woman. Is she strong? Does she have all the symbols of a healthy woman that can give birth and get through the breastfeeding correctly, get the house in order. That's how they used to choose women, like they used to buy slaves in the market. And at the animal level, that's correct. But the aspect of love, we see that it didn't start immediately. And it wasn't accepted and necessary or invited to the masses. There weren't such things. They would get married and that's it. They wouldn't really look at all kinds of things. It began like we always draw this line of the development of the ego. It started in the medieval ages and onward. And it was just for like a game for the nobility up till then. And there is more like a game of who's more and who's less. Like in the animal level, that they just do stuff to grab a woman. So it's the same thing between the nobility. And the masses would go to the market, they'd buy a woman. Not to disrespect, but the woman can be bought. That's how it is written in our sources. And it was clear that a woman has the ability, if she belongs to a man, then she gets used to it and starts looking after him and loving him. And he becomes hers. It's not disregarding them, but that's how it is according to nature. That a man gives the woman symbols that she belongs to him and she responds. In most cases, it's just a matter of habit. And if in those times, those people with not so developed ego, they would relate to life like that in a practical, simple manner. And that's it. Men would look more at how strong she is and how good she is for the household and the children. And women would get used to it. The issue of beauty, love, connection, it began with the upper classes of society because they developed faster in their ego, and then gradually throughout the generations it spread down to the masses, and not really down to the masses. Today we can also see in many places in the world that people look at these things in a simpler manner, without love. Without all this inner confusion, but rather very practically. And they succeeded at it, rather than compared to all those that advanced, so-called. That our ego advanced, that demands from us to have this storm of feelings and that there has to be these big games, and precisely in that we find all the beauty of life. Our desire to receive, our egoistic desire to receive, is requesting this kind of filling from us. And then when we reached it and began doing it precisely, say, in the last 100 years, up to the last 100 years, it wasn't really developed. It was just for the upper classes. So we see how quickly it ended, that our ego grew in such a manner that today we don't know how to connect in a personal manner to one another. We had a hope that it would happen at the beginning of the 20th century, or the middle of the 20th century, and then it started a descent. And we can already see that we're less and less capable of having a good connection. until the family connection broke. People got into another period. Our ego developed to a state where we're not succeeding and not even looking for a direct connection. We'd rather connect through phones, internet, and not in a direct manner. This way we're safer, that we'll be able to protect our ego to not get hurt. And if we get into a connection, we're already so protected against the connection that it's difficult for us to remove all these dressings and be bare, so to speak, as true love requires. They're from our soul. So unfortunately, it's a fact. You can't give it a mark. This is what happens to us. We are in a desire. We have this inner deficiency, but an inability to fill it. I would like to fill myself with some feeling, inner feeling, spiritual feeling from the opposite gender, from their attitude that completes our bodily connection, but I'm not capable. I'm not capable. There's something blocking me inside that I'm not capable of opening myself, and I discover it in my partner. Let's say she is also not capable of opening herself. And maybe it's easier for women according to nature, but still, they also throughout time get into some kind of dressing that it's very hard to peel. And our entire life we're in difficult virtual connections. All day we're at work, in meetings and discussions, emails and talking on the phone, and all the news. It's all through the internet, through this virtual connection. We built our life in such a way from our inner deficiency to be connected through appliances that bring us to demands of our ego, and also the devices that we're building. They're bringing us to demands to be connected properly in a proper manner, that I calculate, that I weigh, that I'm really rational. I look at my surroundings, what will they say? According to the standards I got from this virtual life of mine. I don't know my soul, my inner demand. I also can't recognize or research the other gender. Therefore, when we start to be in touch, we meet in the mall or in the coffee shop or in some club. So it appears to us that we're chatting, but it's really just external, according to what's standard in society, according to the rubbish. And when you go inward, there's no connection. They're not capable. They're not capable of opening themselves. They don't even know themselves what's inside. They're not developed for this connection. If I can't open myself, what can I give to the other person? So here we truly get stuck in a problem of a person who doesn't know himself, especially since our ego is growing and opening us more and more, and the world is becoming more and more sophisticated, and at the same time it's more and more primitive, because when we go into the computer, are we 1 or 0? We're 1 or 0, like a computer works and nothing more. There's not really emotions. It's all precise. It's not harmony or musical. It's something very calculated. Works in a simple manner. Therefore, I think that the problem of connection between people, which is the main problem, in which actually the correction of the world has to come, it has to begin in building the correct connection between the genders, because there's an inner demand for this, and people are frustrated. Either they don't know how to differentiate between sex and love, let's say, you can call it, to separate them, and then this is separate and that's separate. Or they need to learn how to connect one with the other correctly. But however you put it, it's a problem. First, we need to see how we bring a person to the correct education. That first of all, we need to remove all the previous blocks. We need to show him who he is when he's naked, how he understands himself and feels himself in a correct manner. Bring him to a state where the connection needs to be between these two bare souls, as like between the bodies. And if he wants it, then he has to know what the soul is, the inner part of it. How can we fill it? And here we reach a state. If we don't reach a state of love thy neighbor as thyself between both of them, then there won't be a connection. To make a long story short, I threw out the answer because we spoke about all these results previously. If we want to do this, then we must, because the connection, the zivug of each one, getting from the other, when he gives to the other, and precisely at the same level, the same amount that he gives to the other, he makes room in himself, place to receive from the other. It only works like that. Therefore, it's a mutual connection. Just like when we come together in our bodily intercourse, we get inside each other. The same goes for spiritually, come inside each other. And that's why it's called the spiritual coming together. Spiritual mating. Each one receives and each one takes. If I don't receive, then I don't let him express his love. What does it mean if I love, if I don't want to fill him precisely, which should be the great desire for me rather than filling myself? That's the sign of love, that each one is inside the other, soulfully. So now you truly described such a wide... I can also open up what's happening on the internet, at Skype and all those things, but a person becomes like a machine with all that, like that same computer he's working through. Therefore, we need to begin by bringing him back to being a simple person, to his childhood, a baby, that Mommy loved him and he loved her in an animal manner. And then from there begin explaining to him what's love, what's connection, that we're still looking for that same source. Like with the mother, this is how I'm actually looking for my connection with my partner. To get and to receive. It's a different level, but that's what we're looking for. An example of mother's love, of a mother's love. After you gave us this whole picture, let's try to truly see what's the role of that same force of love. Does it have a role? To bring a person to bestowal, to come out of himself, and through love, through personal love with the opposite gender, to understand that he must have love for all of reality, all of humanity. Meaning humanity, reality, we didn't receive a natural urge for that. And the urge for love between a couple we received, and it's very strong. After the instinct of food, that's what comes next. I have a desire for being in a couple, and that's a very strong instinct. Let's say if we go to Freud or other psychologists, they'll say this instinct is the foundation of human society. Therefore, we need to learn from it. We need to begin to learn from it how through that precisely we can arrange all of human society, all of humanity in the correct manner, in the correct connection between them. Now, in that, just like you said, there's a lot of confusion around this emotion that's created. There's something about this force that happens, and then we begin to feel feelings that confuse us. We don't understand at all how we need to work with it. First of all, we're confused between sex, and that gets in our way. We're confused by values. She has glasses. They're exactly in fashion. I love her. I have values and like inner laws that I got from society, that I go according to them, and I'm doing things that are actually against my nature, that I should have behaved if I wanted to reach the correct relationship, the correct connection. So here we need to open the whole psychology of man and his environment, clean him from his environment, show him who he is, what he needs, why he's a poor thing, why he wants to fill himself with all kinds of other forms, why he's going on all kinds of travels and adventures, because he can't fill himself with his main instinct, apart from food. We need to escort him through this and teach him. You say that we need to open these things up, so let me try to open them up. Now, when you spoke about falling in love, I remembered when I was young, when you fall in love at first. While you were talking, I was really having images from that situation that went on for a long time. And I remember that I would feel life at the highest possible volume. I would feel that my energy, the feeling that I'm alive, my sensations, my whole inner world, a person came and it's like they're taking the remote control and they're putting the volume up right to the end. I'm blowing up inside. And I used to feel alive. When I was falling in love, life is going between two scales. Everything's wonderful to this scale where the love brings disappointment because the reaction from the other person isn't like what you dreamt of. And I had great strength. I felt I could turn the world upside down. Give me the world, with my hand I could turn it upside down. I'll do whatever I can to conquer her heart. This girl, she later grew up to be a teenager. What is this force? What is this power that there's in falling in love, that there's nothing else like it in the world? As a person that can explain what I feel in a way that I can't even express it, can you explain the source of power in falling in love? It's clear where it comes from. They're giving you an example at the animal level, the human level. It's not really the animal level, it's the human level. How you can be attracted to another, to a complete stranger, and be attracted in such a manner that you enjoy having a connection with him. You don't need anything else. You haven't even, you're not even maybe ready for sex. It's next to it, but it's not that. Even against that. You would have ruined that. It's like a platonic love, abstract. Yes? They're teaching you that there's a connection between people with someone else. It doesn't matter who, with someone else. Especially it's not like with a dog. Of course, it's not like with a dog. That you love him. But that you're capable of doing everything because you need a reaction, a connection, a relation, someone relating to you. And you have nothing out of it, but rather to have a mutual connection. And you always want to be in this connection, and it's more and more possible internally, not physically. Here it's still at this level. I need this spiritual connection, this soulful connection, let's say. That's what I want. I can't eat, I can't drink, I can't walk around, I can't think of anything, I can't study. In school, it happens in school. Those years, I'm simply just not myself. Something's caught on to me, and that finished me off. Completely. There's nothing in life that's more important. And next to that, there's nothing. It fills the entire horizon. They give a person this feeling. That's your first love. It doesn't matter who he is, what he is. They're putting some program inside a person, this like inner program, so that he'll know that there's such a thing in the world. That's called a connection. It usually doesn't carry on a long time. It doesn't end with the physical connection. It's somehow usually passes through everyone to maintain this connection in a spiritual manner only. I saw this happening on the internet, that there's activities, people who study together. I think it's called friends. They have it now also. It was a few years ago it started to wake up. There was like this boom 5 or 10 years ago. It's precisely to go back to that feeling subconsciously, correct. And even if, what do I get out of today meeting that same girl that 60 years ago, I thought she was the most beautiful in the world. Was it excitement or was it the opposite? Would we look at each other and how would it end, this whole connection? You see life. What can we learn from it? I think that we didn't get married. We don't reach a physical connection, a sexual connection. We're filled with such a program, with such knowledge, such a feeling that such a thing exists in nature. And actually, after that, maybe in all our meetings in life, or even in our conscious or subconscious, we're looking for that same feeling. We're trying to repeat it somehow, to some extent. And it's not that I'm looking at these images. This can be more beautiful, and I can, if I had a picture of that same girl, I would look at it. The feeling, to repeat the feeling, it doesn't come back. But to repeat it, everyone would like to repeat it, to awaken this feeling. It's possible. Even in the golden years, it's even more so there's a need for it. Because they see that there's nothing in life except for that warmth. This gives you the power to live. Therefore, I think that we can approach corrections also in the family life and in the society through that. It appears to me that the key is here. We need to develop these things, but so now, actually, you gave us a very nice explanation, the role of love, to see that there's an example for some type of emotion like that we need to learn to build, maybe in a more aware manner with our partner and the people around us. But you said that we have to start escorting a person through the process, because when he comes to connect, he suddenly discovers that he doesn't know himself, he doesn't know parts of himself, and then there's really some kind of confusion that right at this point we need instructions, because this is where we are right now. We're at a point of human development where we already have our evil inclination, and so you can approach a person. We're not truly at a crisis yet with love issues, that people have stopped searching altogether and they've switched to some fake filling, like with sex or drugs or all those other crooked things. In our history, I'm always looking in a very general manner, but we've reached a state where there's room to get into a correction of the human race through that as well. When a person, not even a couple, when a person wants to find a mate, today the great difficulty is to find the correct mate. If you're a man or a woman, that's the #1 challenge. There's no one suitable. Excuse me for cutting you off, but there's no one suitable. We need to bring them to a fact. First of all, there's no such thing as me meeting someone, and that's it. Hello, I love you. What's your name? Like in the Beatles song. There's no such thing. I love her, and then I say, what's your name? That's called suitable. I need to know. I need to match myself to her, and she needs to match herself to me, and that is the work that we do together in coming into one another, and this work has to continue for a period, for a few months, a year or two, I don't know, until we begin to be suitable for one another, that our inner connection connecting us, this mutual connection, this going into one another, that I'm combining water with coffee, that there's no water in coffee, but rather together there's something. So when one comes into the other in some manner, and then we determine, yes, we got it. We understood how to continue in this going into one another, because this is called mating, this mutual going into penetration. And then we can continue. Then we're ready to get married and continue the connection. So the process, this is after we bought the program, this program for penetrating one another soulfully. After we understand how to do it and we're prepared, we're both prepared. Therefore, Rabash, my teacher, used to say, you just need to not be grossed out by each other. Like, say, I can't stand her nails. I can't look at it. Something else. But apart from that, everything else, as long as I don't feel rejected, let's connect to the public and try to develop insights. You explained how this inner mating between a couple is started. You're saying that's a stage that carries on for a few months, which at the end, if they manage to reach this diffusion between them, then they're worthy of raising a family together that will grow, and meaning that this connection will go and develop more and more, not that it will stop. So you described a process of mutual inner work, which, like you said, it's not just one time and that's it. It has to be built over time. So I want to call this stage B, and I want to go back to stage A. Stage B, in stage A, what's happening is that a man or a woman, they're in a place where they're asking, will I choose to get into this inner connection, this work, this work that you described with Nitsa or with Mika, with Shoshi or with Tzipi? and the opposite. And then the motive of falling in love comes in, through which it helps me calculate, should I go into the process with her or with her? What does it mean, falling in love? It means I see what I feel in my stomach. Do I have butterflies or not? I don't agree. I don't agree. I'm telling you what's happening in reality. You understand people well. It's possible if I said to you, maybe help me a little bit with this problem, I'll send you Nitsa, you'll check her like a computer, you'll scan her, you'll scan all her inner attributes, you'll give me a report like before I buy a car, and you'll say how you relate to Nitsa, and if she's suitable for me, then I'll send you the next candidate. You'll scan her as well, you'll give me 2 reports, and you'll say, listen, Oren, really, I suggest you go for A and not for B. And you brought me these pages, and you're smart, and you have wisdom and everything, and I say to you, you know what? With all due respect to the papers, I have butterflies in my tummy for the other ones. So maybe you're like a smart father, you can suggest, but what can I do? I have butterflies in my tummy. That's called falling in love. That something turns me on and the other one doesn't. In my eyes, it's all wrong. But you're like a wise grandfather looking at me like a child. First, I need to clean you from all these butterflies. That's precisely the question. Where's the place for butterflies and falling in love? There's no place for that. That's what's dominant today. Not just for emotional people, even for logical people. We need to remove all these dressings from a person, all these dirty things he received on his soul. The egoistic, Hollywood, all kinds of stigmas, all kinds of forms he looks at. This is pretty, this isn't pretty. If you would see a woman like Nitsa 100 years ago, she would look completely different. In your eyes, she would look terrible. But she wouldn't have nail polish and this and that. It's all a matter of, it's all the additional things that you received from society. And according to these demands, she did these things. It's artificial external things. You need to, first of all, if we're talking about the true correction, first we have to work on the public, the single public, that are beginning to understand their nature, why it's not working for them, how we see ourselves, who we are, what we are, and others. A little bit less of Hollywood, the internet standards, all kinds of things, a little bit less of blah, 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 all the smileys and everything. We're talking in smileys. We look through the smileys. It's all through these formats. Everything's like that in our life. How do we get rid of that? Because I need for myself, I need to be that same child that I fall in love. Just like back then. Then I didn't care what was happening. A ponytail or something else, or like this, or like that. If I would look at her now, I would be in shock. I didn't see anything then. The truth is, I didn't see her. I didn't see her then. Suddenly it got switched on, and that's it. Somebody hit the button. Somebody hit the remote control and turned me on to her, and that's it. That's clear. I need to go back to that same situation. That's exactly what I want. So you have to remove all the dressings that you wore up till now from the internet, movies, public standards, what's in fashion, all those things. You need to be more natural, closer to nature, simple, egoistic, but I don't want to be dependent on everyone, that's it. And how do I do it in a big society? Singles, that we together are learning together who we are, what our nature is, how we can see ourselves, how we can see the others, the world. to be a little bit less dependent on external standards that they brought to us from the other side of the ocean. That's first and foremost. Look how it's happening in the Orthodox society. Excuse me that I'm giving this example, but surely, even in our time, it's completely different. Mother and father go and select a girl for a guy. They allow him to see her. Some people aren't even allowed that, and I know this. I lived among them for 30 years, but we're not Orthodox. But I'm just telling you that if there's a different kind of agreement in society, it's different. And they get married and they live together in peace. There's no problem. Remove a little bit. Okay, it's a big society, the singles. You start working on it, that you try to remove from them all these standards that are fake. Nobody's really living like that. And on the one hand, remove that, and at the same time, you raise, you give them other standards. Let's say I was your son. Let's say I'm your son. I'm your son, and you say to me, son, my dear son, I think that this woman is perfect for you. And I say to you, you know what, Dad? I don't like her at all. I don't feel anything. And I really like that one. And you look at me as a wise person and you say, I see he's going to go make a mistake. That one doesn't suit him. I don't know why he's turned on by her, and I think that one really suits him, according to all the things that you taught us up till now. What do I do? What advice would you give as a smart father, as a wise father, that you feel I'm going with the emotion in my tummy in a direction that rationally you see it doesn't suit me. You see it doesn't suit me. Now today, it's easy to see how it's like, because most couples get divorced at the end of the day. They didn't go in the right direction. Now I'm going to ask you, like that same wise father, come help me. Help me truly. How can I go inside my stomach, cancel the butterflies that I have for someone who doesn't suit me, and create butterflies for someone who does suit me? Can you teach me how to make this transition? It's a problem, but that's my problem. First, I need to educate you. Yes, I want to be educated. I'm willing to. Can you direct me in a way that in the end I'll be able to go into my tummy and create butterflies for someone who suits me more? That's how it was with my kids. With me. Can you teach me? I want you to be my father. Did you understand the picture that I'm giving you? Like logically, I agree with you, but emotionally, I can't agree. I agree with you in my brain, but it's not working in my stomach. It's not touching me here. That's a sign that I have to remove some more stigmas from you and bring you a few more. I have to raise your sensitivity a little bit more in your inner connection, so that you'll decipher that this one is more suitable for an inner connection than that one. That here, physically, maybe you'll enjoy more, but here you'll enjoy more from the inner. You'll enjoy the inner connection more. The inner connection is about developing infinitely, and the corporal connection we know. Tomorrow you don't wonder. I'm talking about an internal connection, the one you think is suitable for me rationally and logically. I'm not attracted to her. And the one that you feel suits me less rationally, I feel that I do have an inner connection to her. Then we need to continue working with you. There's no way around it. We need to continue working with you, because maybe you're correct and I'm not. I'm not some perfect expert. This is where I come to the next question. To what extent do I have to believe what I have in my stomach? I'm not talking about externally and sex and everything. I'm talking about that inner click that I have with her. I have it. With her, I don't have it. How much do I have to believe what's happening in my stomach? You still need to go through instruction, say my instruction in society, in a society. You have to talk, go through workshops together, etc. And then you'll begin to feel who and which women appear to you to be closer to the most inner connection. And then you recommend that I should listen to what you say, yes. And then you'll see how much you don't pay attention to the external form. I'm not talking about the external form. You won't pay attention to it at all. You'll stop seeing it altogether. And you'll only see the internal connection. And that's what you'll connect to. And that becomes your mate for you, this inner form. You're meaning this is my measurement, that I succeeded in reaching a state where I don't see the external package, not the first woman and not the second woman. She can be 80 years old, and I connect to her internalness, to both of them, and then I feel that I have an inner click to this one more than the other, and then I go with this click on the condition that she also is the correct age, of course. No, I'm saying it very seriously. Excuse me. And only then you add the external bodily. You mean not the opposite. The order here is important. First internally and then externally. That's why don't run. It's the complete opposite way of thinking that we're used to. Nowadays, it's let's go. I have 2 more minutes. Give me some more advice. How can I truly feel that I come from? I don't want to miss out. Most of the people that I met, they missed. They chose wrong. We're talking about correcting the situation. I want some advice. How to implement in the best way I can everything I learned today. How I can get rid of all these things covering that frequency of that kid getting in love for the first time, and he only wants that inner connection. How could I, as a mature person looking for a partner, how can I renew that frequency? You're not looking for a partner. You're looking for the inner connection. You're not looking for a partner. I want in my heart and soul that same empty place that remained since then. I want to fill it. And the truth is that that same empty place has escorted me my whole life and has pushed me to all kinds of achievements and searches in life, and only that empty place. And this empty place is called my soul. And that is what I can fill only with my connection with others, with the main part being the connection that's called family, the partner. But around that comes other development to the entire world even. That's the beginning of a person's soul, and its foundation is the male and female part, and around them comes all of development. That's what I need to reach. That's the foundation of all the corrections. If we didn't have that same emptiness, we wouldn't have any reason to live and advance. What do I feel at the end of the day? I'm always apparently here to fill. I don't know what to fill, but actually that same desire for that inner connection. Okay, there's a lot to think about. You understand what depth Red, yes. Thank you, Rev Lightman. If you'll agree, we want you to speak about it more. We need to speak about the method of correction. We'll leave that for the next talk. Thank you for being with us. Look for the soul. That's where the connection is. All the best. New Life.